Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So I have just few questions someone actually asked. So first, I it's this blanket. It's which way filled blanket. So this one is it's actually a baby blanket, and this size it's actually around 97 centimeters, almost 1 meter. So for this blanket, for particular, I used a little bit over, almost 3.5 balls of yarn. I use this yarn, which is beautiful yarn. I like the color and that the softness as well. Uh, it's you can get at least you need to have like a 4 balls for this blanket. That is will be you will be in a safe side, yes. The best wool, DK to use, I use actually in acrylic one. Acrylic one is actually easy to wash and dry, and it doesn't make doesn't shrink. Whereas other wool, it's like might shrink as well. So I just that it's my how I actually do. And when you go to shop and just kind of think like, oh my god, what kind of hook size I need for this yarn, and each yarn it's actual instructions what kind of hook size you need. So for example, in here in the bottom you can see, you see it's in here. So it's like no, it's in here and needing knitting needles. It's actually knitting needles and hook size. It's for a yarn. It's usually in the same. So for example, it's in here written 4. It's 4 millimeter, and the UK size it's kind of UK. It's size 4, but I usually go by size but with millimeter. So for example, I have hook size. It's it's usually in a hook in here. It's written down what size it is. So this one it's 4 millimeter hook. So it's a perfect hook for this yarn. So I have another ball, I made that a bigger yarn. What is this kind of it's a big yarn what I made. It's actually for that it's 1 meter 82 centimeters, and which in here I use that as well, acrylic yarn. It's very nice and soft. It's kind of written for a baby, so it's just kind of really nice and soft. And hook size, it's written on in here. On each ball, it's written down what hook size you need for the yarn. So that's kind of Um, so for big blanket, I used 11 balls of yarn. So for a baby one, I actually used 4, and for a big one, I used 11 balls of yarn. Uh, then it's one more question. It's kind of as said, what the most common crochet method used in Ireland in here? It depends from where actually you used. So it's some actually use UK term and some use US term. It's it could be same, when it's pattern written it actually could be same, uh exactly same stitch, but how it's actually in a US term it's actually use how many loops you are actually pulling through that through your first loop, yes. Whereas in UK term are based on the numbers of loops on the hook. So it's kind of for example, so just 2 seconds, I will get the yarn. So it's when you make like slip stitch, then you are like it's chains. Yes, all chains are actually in US and UK. Its terminology it's same. Slip stitch as well, it's same. And for for example, in US will be said single crochet. So single crochet is kind of how many loops you are pulling through. So single crochet it's in US, whereas in UK, you see, in UK it's double. It's called because how many loops you have on a hook. So you pulling through 2 loops, that's for UK, it's double crochet. Whereas in US, it's kind of like, no, when you're pulling, like loop in here. So it's US count how many loops you are pulling through the first. So it's just kind of you that in US, it will be single crochet, and for UK, it will be double crochet. Double crochet is because you are pulling through on a hook, you have 2 loops. That's the difference. It's kind of when it's written pattern, it's actually all same, but it's all how it's actually. For example, it will be US. It will be double crochet. US will be put a yarn over the hook, make pull through. So in US it will be double crochet, whereas for UK it will be treble. It's because you have 3 loops on the hook, that's why they are calling treble. Whereas in the US you actually pulling through. It's like pull through once, pull through twice. You pulling through twice. That's the difference. But in when you written a pattern, it's actually it's same thing. So for a blanket, it's I use you can use any wool what you want. You want to use double knit or chunky or uh, super chunky. It's all about your how heavy will be your blanket. So if you want a light blanket as that double knit, it will be the best one. So and then it's actually about tension. In each wool, like when you buy the wool, and you can see it's in here written down the tension, how it is it's in here. It's better you can see it's in here tension. It's 10 by 10 centimeters. You can see how many rows you need. It's usually it's for knitting, yes. It's usually in here for knitting. For a crochet, how you know your tension? For example, when you are taking your measurement tape, so I can say, so for this blanket tension, you can put 10 centimeters. So you can see where's your double crochets, yes, or that is in US. UK, it will be treble. So 10 centimeters. So you count how many rows you have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows I have. And stitches, how many I have stitches in 10 centimeters, yes. So I have 1, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So I have 18 stitches on a side. So my grouch for this blanket, it's 18 18 stitches and 9 rows. That's my tension for this blanket. So uh, it's kind of like, no, it's very important when you're looking for a tension. It's kind of usually said in UK, or gouge. It's actually in US term. That is your tension of your blanket, like, no, or project, so that you know what you're kind of like, no, going. So it's gonna be, for example, like, 10 rows or 20 stitches, yes. So it just kind of, you need just adjust your tension for your crochet. I hope it actually helps. I will actually put a link under that for this blanket, how I actually did it. The blanket, it's actually, I had already made a video for which way the blanket. So hope it you are like it and have a great time. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment and I will answer you as soon as I possible. Thank you.